Okay, so Victor and let's say for the sake of the scene, after after Jubei and Davia have exchanged their kiss, they move into Davia's room for some privacy.
Yeah, after being eavesdropped.
Yeah.
She's gonna again kind of take the sword out of its sheath to look over it, just complete, just like wide, sparkly eye, just like fascination and just uh joy.
Jubei, the ultimate gift giver.
Yeah.
He's 3 for 3. Or four, or
Seriously.
is it 4 for 4? Do you
Something like that.
count the origami?
The earrings, yeah.
No, not the earrings, just the normal origami.
Oh no, no.
Yeah, because the owl was the first gift.
Yeah.
God, actually, that double downs the meaning of you giving him an owl.
Wait. No, it wasn't an owl. It was a
No,
cat.
no, cat. It was the cat. Sorry, I'm mixing up. Yeah, the cat was the first gift.
Mhm.
Uh,
Yeah, and then origami earrings.
the origami ears was the second gift, and then the sword was the third gift.
Oh wait, no, kimono.
Oh, the kimono. That's right. The kimono was the third gift.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's 4 for 4.
This boy. Davi is like practicing swinging it around again, just getting a feel for its finesse.
You
Uh, I cannot, I cannot say this enough, but this is beautiful too.
I am glad you enjoy it, Davia. I spent many months toiling over it.
I can see that as you know, I have a good eye for these sort of things, and the worth of this is just, uh, well, even just past the monetary worth, of course, is everything that you put into it. Just oh, it's wow. It is incredible.
Jubei just kind of smiles. Goes, "Well, to be fair, I can't take all of the credit. Victor did assist me when he could with the
I
Vista
will.
magic."
I will give some thanks to him for that portion as well, but most of it is going to you. She's still just eyes just like locked on this thing. I will, I will ensure to wield this whenever I can.
that that fills me with great pleasure. As I said, with me and you, it will keep you safe. I'd say there'd be one thing you notice though when Jubei does something. You notice though that the gems when Jubei's near grow quite bright, but when he's more than 60 feet away, they kind of slightly dull to normal gems.
Ooh, so if Jubei's ever lost, I could potentially find him with it.
Yeah, they would. You have to be within 60 feet, which at that point
Yeah,
he's not really lost anymore.
yeah.
It's like, Jimmy, I found you. It's like you're literally standing on my foot. So
um,
it's not really
she'll,
used for that. It's just you will know if
yeah,
Jubei is 60 feet when it's just to make you know that you're always aware when I'm in 60 feet.
yeah, she'll notice that. Stepping closer just to see them go a little bit brighter, and stepping back to see it just dim slightly, and her another delighted smile comes to her. You know, if I didn't know the better, I would say this is an excuse for you to try to make sure I stay near you at all times.
He kind of looks at her with a sly smile. That, of course not. And he looks over and goes, I don't think I need an excuse for that anymore.
Are you getting a bit of a big head on you?
Well, maybe a little. He says with a smile. He just gives her a peck on the cheek. He goes, to be fair though, Davia, I do want you to stay close to me.
I. It is funny you say that. Actually, she'll look at the sword one more time before once again carefully sheathing it, and but she holds on to the handle, just kind of looks down at the floor. I uh, All right, I am about to say something, and I need you to be without any form of judgment. Is it?
Of course, Davia.
She kind of gives like a nervous lick of her lips and biting it a little, and then before eventually it's just like, you know, we've been traveling for a very long time together, and since we first met, it is not often that we are ever apart for more than a number of hours. So it was a bit of a surprise when the rest of the group and I went off to the city, and we were apart for that long. It was a little what is the word that I'm looking for? It's screw it. I will just spit it out. I will admit that I mi- missed you.
Jubei just has a very warm smile on his face, and she says this, I missed you greatly too, Davia.
She gives a very clear, like, large sigh of relief at that. Um, Giving the sense very much that she was, some part of her was thinking it was just a her thing. Um, her shoulders relaxed. uh, we've been traveling together and been around each other for so long. It was a bit whiplash that you are certainly not.
I know what you mean. It was honestly difficult to sleep without knowing you went in the room next door.
It is a little. I feel a little strange that for some reason that makes me a little happy.
I suppose you could. And he just comes up to her and gives her puts his hands on her shoulders with a smile that goes, but as I say, Davia, when you aren't near it I don't care for it. It's it is very lonely without you lately. Without you around.
Her eyes gentle at that, and she steps forward to press very, very soft kiss to his lip. Is just like, I understand. And then another kiss, and I understand greatly. Taking a small step back, then to look at him. You know, if this were a number of weeks earlier, I'd be a bit annoyed over this, but I feel it is a full feeling in the heart.
Jubei has a very, very happy look on his face. Just there's that ecstatic look you get when you know that the pleasure he's brought Davi with that has just made him more ecstatic than he has ever been. It might be the best way. He's just got like an ecstatic glee that
Oh,
she cares and he's caring so deeply.
and it gosh, this is not like me. I do not know him being like this. She like gives like she like gives a like little kind of smacks to her the sides of her face, like as if like trying to snap herself out of this, before looking at him with a bit more determinedly. I during the time apart, there was something that sort of came to my mind, and that I wanted to speak with you about, if that is all right.
Of course, Davia. Uh, Anything you wish to speak with me, I am more than willing to hear.
She uh, takes his hand to lead him over to sit on the edge of the bed, side by side. And even when they're sitting there, she just keeps her hand there. Clearly has no intention of letting as she reaches into her reaches to her side to take out her captain's pistol, um, and rest it on her lap, brushing over the handle with her thumb. With everything that's been happening, changes that are going on and such, I've realized I sort of reached a point where I am allowing myself to slowly but surely let go of some things. And she kind of gives a small nod to the gun in her lap, as so he kind of gets a hint of what exactly she's talking about. And as I was thinking about this, my mind sort of turned towards you, and I realized that a lot of this is because you've always been around there to help me and care and be there despite how big of a struggle I can be. And it sort of made me think that, while it is true that I've reached the point where I am willing to allow myself to heal and move on, I never took the time to ask if you are dealing with that sort of thing, and whether if you are allowing yourself to do the same. And she lifts her head, uh, reaching out her free hand to uh, brush her hand along uh, the tied portion of his long white hair. You told me that this, allowing it to get like this, and is your way of showing your shame for things that were outside your control, and a sort of redemption of sorts. And I sort of came to this thought that as much as I love this gift that my captain had given me, it has also been a weight of sorts. And I wanted to ask, is that what this is to you?
He kind of sighs as he feels the hair. You would not be wrong, Davia. Is he? For the first time you've never seen him do this before, but when you make him do it, you have a feeling he's done this before, as he takes the very long locks of hair in his hand and just pulls them around his shoulder and just looks at the hair. It, I. It is still true that this weighs on me. I can't remember if I mentioned it to you before, Davia, but I've not cut my hair since that day.
She nods her head.
And I had made the vow to myself that I would not tell the day I saw Skygo fall. Any? Oh,
And by fall, you mean permanently, yes?
to be honest, I don't even know when I made that vow what I meant. At first, it was in my mind permanently. No matter what I was going to chase him down, death was. And he just looks up to her, a little sad and almost ashamed to say it. I sought death, Davia. One way or another, at the end of this, I knew I wouldn't survive when I started this. And to be frank, in my mind at least, I had no reason to live. None at all. I was just living for the day that I could die.
She nods her head.
And it is different now. I still need to end Skycore, but perhaps if the reason hasn't necessarily changed, perhaps it has evolved. I still need to stop him. I still need to end him. He is part of this cataclysm, and they intend to do horrible things to this world. To that end, I need to destroy him just for that, but... And he kind of starts fidgeting with the hair in his hands as he's kind of looking down at it very thoughtfully. I don't know. Maybe just banishing him back to the Nine Hills for a few centuries is enough. As he looks back up at her. Because I have a reason to stay here now.
She offers a small little kind of crooked smile.
I must still keep to my word. The day Skygo falls, one way or another, will be the day that I finally am willing to cut my hair again. Till then, I think I will have to keep bearing this weight for a while longer.
She looks down at their hands at that thoughtful look in her eyes. Her attention falls down to her captain's gun. She takes a deep breath and grips the handle of it a little more firmly and nods her head. And then we will carry our pathways together until it is time.
Jubei looks up at her with a smile and goes, yes, and they do say a burden shared is a burden halved.
Yes. And When you are ready, we do not necessarily have to rid ourselves of it forever. My original proposition was us placing both of our weights into a shared container of sorts and placing it away safely, and then when we are ready, we will do with it what we will. But she gives his hand a small squeeze. Whenever you are ready, I shall, until then, hold on to this as well.
Dobby looks down at the hand holding his and looks up at her with a smile and goes, "Yes, when we are ready, I think that would be a great thing to do. To bury the past once this is over."
She nods her head and puts her gun back in its holster, turning her gaze back up to him. And when that day comes, perhaps this might be a bit selfish of me to ask, but if you are willing, she looks to the ribbon in his hair, and then to the chain of the necklace around his neck. I am not well versed in magic or how that sort of thing works, really. I don't even know if it is possible to shift where your focus is. Kind of trails off with a uncertain furrow to her brow.
He's kind of looks at her a little confused. Shift my. I'm not following Davia.
If I am remembering correctly, around the days when we first met, when had you not mentioned once that this here, and she brushes her fingers carefully through the ribbon, is where you draw your magic of sorts from, what is it called? Arcane focus, was it?
Oh, yes. Yes, the ribbon is my arcane focus.
Yes. Again, if it is, I don't even know if it is possible. If you are ever willing or ready, if it is possible, would you be willing to shift it to, and her fingers trail down to rest on the necklace around his neck?
He feels the necklace and feels the ribbon in his hair. He stops and you know what he's gonna do? He unties the ribbon from his hair. And he's just gonna look down at it in his hand. and then you'll see him make a fist with it. And then he looks up at Davia and goes, I think, Davia, I think it will be the same day I can put my burden down.
She gives a small nod and understand.
And he looks up at Davia and goes, thank you for the understanding, but you understand, of course, I do need to finish this for every possible reason I can think of. Perhaps, and he's going to look at the ribbon again. Perhaps when this is over, and he's just going to have this very, very sad smile on his face. Perhaps Satoshi would be willing to take this burden from me.
She gives his hand a slightly tighter squeeze. Are you certain? It is not, of course, something that you have to read of completely. Could set aside if that is better. She has a look on her face, like she's very carefully considering the emotions on his face, and is clearly looking like she's out of her element because genuinely caring for people's emotions is not something she is
Ever done
fluent.
before?
Yeah, yeah.
As he looks down at the ribbon and hearing Tavia's words, that really sad look on his face almost turns into this funny smile as some very odd thought crosses his mind as his face takes this look of almost a depression to this odd smile with followed by just a soft it just stops laughing after a couple seconds.
She lightly brushes some of the hair in his face off to the side to tuck against his ear. It's just like, what is it?
I, I think I may have just realized something I never had before.
What is that?
And you can almost see tears in his eyes, but they're not exactly tears of sadness. They're almost like tears of, almost like a manic joy tear. Like they're tears that seem to be flowing with mixed emotions. I never thought I'd say this, but I did love Sakura, but I don't know if I actually was in love with Sakura. And he's just going to look up in Davia. And the only reason I say that, Davia, is I don't know. What I'm with you is so much purer than even than I was with Sakura.
Uh, uh, kind of a shocked look kind of dawns onto her expression. I with uh, me, but how? I mean, everything that I've put you through.
He starts that manic, crazy cry laugh again, slightly, and he stops. I'm sorry. It's just, I know, it's madness. And he looks up at Davia. I did mention that me and Satoshi both loved her, and to be frank, we never knew which one of us she loved truly. But with you, Davia, it is just you and I. There is no other. There is no question. There is just. And he smiles and just puts his hand on her face, and he's got this very knowing but loving smile. Goes, there is just us. Just purity.
She rests her palm over the one that he has on her cheek. Gives a small little laugh, like I, and looks off to the side. A light coloring coming to her cheeks. I I can at least say that it's what you cause is very new.
Sorry, Nikki, you cut out at the end there.
What you cause is very new.
He kind of looks at it and goes, very new. Not sure if I still follow you, Davia. Is emotion?
I she kind of gets like a light scowl on her face, like not actually annoyed, just like a comeback to his words as she looks back at him. Are you actually going to try to make me say?
He smiles at her and just leans his head against her. Goes, it's okay, Davia. I know.
She closes her eyes, kind of gripping the hand on her cheek a little more. Do you, despite me being myself and how much I struggle, do you really?
With all of my heart, Davia. Almost from the moment I met you, I was drawn to you. And he just kind of looks up at the ceiling briefly. I just have this weird feeling that you and I were fated. Somehow. I don't know why. But. And he just looks back down. With all we've been through, Davia. All the times I thought I lost you. Both emotionally and physically. Times that I thought I had said the words wrong and you would hate me forever, or Times I feared your life was over before my eyes. We always come back, no matter the odds. And he laughs as he looks down at the chain he gave her, and he looks over at the sword he gave her. And without any thoughts or planning, we exchanged hearts today without even meaning to. If there is not a hand of fate here, then I don't know what is.
She looks between the two items as well and gives a small laugh of her own. You know, once upon a time I might have scoffed at such ideas, and fate is not exactly something I ever believed in. It seems like a children's book story, a fanciful ways of thinking, but you know, I am just so inclined to possibly believe the same.
At least we have to entertain the idea, I suppose. He's just gonna once again just look at the owl once again down at the chain around his neck and has a soft smile and goes, "This is probably the most meaningful thing you ever gave me. And its true meaning does not elude me." And he's just going to look up at her in her golden eyes and smile and goes, "And I just want you to know that those feelings are fully reciprocated and always will be."
I'm, I am glad. I, if not, it's a little frustrating sometimes how understanding you are. I, as frustrated as I get with myself, your understanding makes my own self irritation wane.
Kind of chuckles at the notion.
I For a moment, she looks like, after she says I, like she's about to try to form the word, but eventually kind of dies on her tongue. And she gives like a slightly like self-deprecating shake of her head at herself, and instead tries again, looking at him. I just want you happy, Jubei. you you have done an incredible amount for me, more than anyone in my entire life has done for me. And as much as the world has screwed me over, it screwed you over too, and you understand, and you know that deep hurt. And even so, you still manage to show me, despite all my gruffness and baggage and everything else terrible about me, you still were kind and soft, and you, and because of that, I just want you to be happy and okay.
Jubei hears those words and kind of closes his eyes and takes in a deep breath. With you, Davia, I think I will be.
She gives him a very just unabashedly soft and gentle smile, and then her gaze falls back to the ribbon that he's clenching tightly in his hand. She'll reach out to rest her hand over his, for the one gripping it, the gripping this, and no matter what it is you decide to do with this, or if you're alright with my request, or if you wish to keep with this, I am okay, either whichever it is that you want.
Jubei kind of smiles at those words and kind of shakes his head and goes, Honestly, Davia, before you even mentioned this, I had contemplated whether or not I would keep the ribbon after all this. It is my past. And he looks up at her. You are my future.
She tucks her hair over her, behind her, just again getting that, just despite her pride and constant flaunting of confidence, there's that brief crack of bashfulness, and again, you with your words, he says twice now to his eyes that you've gotten me speechless.
Kind of just smiles at her. In any case, Davia, I think I am 2 minutes when it is over. When Skygod is back in the Nine Hells, I think this should go to Shitoshi. He deserves it. And I think it would be better with him at the end. I know what I want now, and I will do everything in my power to keep it. As he looks up at her.
She returns her gaze back to him again, searching his eyes for any flicker of
Any flicker of what?
any flicker of doubt.
I would say with you look into his eyes, he is stone cold serious. Not a flicker of doubt in his eyes.
She searches a moment more, just to make absolute sure. and then eventually reaches out to cup his face in return, her thumb kind of brushing underneath his eye to wipe away any lingering tears that were there, and then leaning forward to very, very softly kiss him, pulling away for a moment for a small sigh, and then returns again with multiple smaller soft kisses, and then eventually resting her forehead against his. Then I will go along with it.
Jubei smiles with that, and very good. And just wraps her up into a hug.
Aww.
I think it's a good spot to stop.
I'm so torn because it's like that is a perfect spot at the same time. I want to keep going, but it's a good place, but I want to keep going.
Oh man, it's always the case with us.
God.
I'll tell you what, let's take at least.
And again to scrubbing the floors, even though they're already sparkly clean.
Victor's just gonna walk up and look over with some strudel in his hand, and he goes, "You missed a spot."
She just chucks the sponge at his face.
Hits him in the face, and he sighs. He goes, "Yeah, okay. But now that we got that out of the way, I need to speak with you, Ayla."
Continues scrubbing, but talks. Is this about our what we're going to do for tomorrow?
Well, in a way, not exactly about the whole, and I use the word loosely, tag team thing going on here.
Okay. She'll sit down her sponge and look at him curiously, furrowed her brows, because she still just does not like his presence.
She sighs. Okay, let's look at this like this, yeah? This thing is no longer a tournament about, the winning and the losing of money or privilege or fun. This is about our friend Everin, correct?
Yes.
And as much as we and you don't like each other most of the time, one of the things we do agree on is we both like Everin.
Yes.
So, I need your help. Contact was painful.
Crosses her arms and arches a brow. You say that as if I don't help you every single day.
I was referring into a useful scenario.
She gestures with her hand to his entire being, is just like, what about all the days I spent into fixing you into at least semi-present?
That was more for you, and you know it.
Well, I will not disagree that it was because I could not stand looking at you because you are very unpleasant to look at. I also did slightly out of the care of my...
Okay, you know what? We're getting off a topic here, yeah?
Okay, what is it exactly that you need my help with again?
Okay, well, you know that they're going to be pulling the lot on the tournament tomorrow to see who fights who, yeah?
Yes.
Well, and he's going to look around slyly. I think we have to, fix the boxes.
Both brows kind of arch at that. Oh, well, it makes sense.
Yeah, so basically I was thinking is that we need two things we need to make sure that happens. First, our two best teams need to be in separate divisions of the bat. So that way we double the chances of them winning to the finals.
Hmm. Oh, okay. So finding a way to rig him.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Well, yours is the good sneaky sneak type, yeah?
Yes.
Well, I have the magic, and if we combine the efforts, we could probably get away with some rather sticky wicky stuff to, put the pullers in our favor.
She'll turn her. She's still kneeling, but she'll turn around so she's facing him more, giving him her full attention. I'm listening.
Well, there's two ways I think we can do this. The first way, and possibly the best way, is, and I don't like having to do this because it requires materials and time. But for the sake of Everin, I'm willing to put my own money on the line. But I need you to get this done. And he's going to summon Igor. I was thinking I could summon Igor and turn him into a mouse.
Okay.
Then you, when you go to the ballot box, put him in the ballot box. Then I enter Igor's mind, read which numbers go to whose, and he will hand the papers up to make sure the right numbers go to the right place.
Okay. So bring him over in his mouse form over to it, and
Yeah, and that way we get the best possible setup for the tournament and make sure that we has the best possible chances of winning.
and what exactly would be the best matchups?
Well, the first thing is we make sure that Jube and Davia and their fellow partners Cinder and the nice little elf lady, woo, are on separate tiers. I love the fact that Nano didn't clue in on that right away. It took him literally halfway through the campaign. I felt like that was great. It's like, oh, that's fucking right. She's tall.
Oh my god.
But yeah, he's like, yeah. So we make sure those two are in the separate area, yeah.
Okay.
And I was thinking that the big bad guy we need to meet, or need to beat, is also in the same. Now, here's the stickiest part. We have to make sure the big bad guy is either in Jube's or Davia's tier. I don't know which is best for him to face first.
Holds her chin thoughtfully. It might be better if we could perhaps see first, watch what his first match is like, and determine.
Unfortunately, the tiers will be picked before the first match, so we have no way of knowing.
Oh, shoot.
But maybe the best bet is to have him in Davia's run first. And this is why. If we do it so it's set up is that if we have 2 fights a day, so there's no chance for a long rest between fights, we make sure that Davia faces him in the semi-finals before the finals with him and Jube. If Davia fights him, due to her massive DPS, and the advantages of the nice self lady, the pair of them could do some major damage to him. On the other hand, Jube and Cinder are rather resilient and would probably get through their rounds with minimal damage.
So we have to try to decide between the two groups which we want him to go against.
Yeah. So, here's the second thing. I think it's best that our teams are always up against the non-unknown teams of the NPCs, for a better word. The non-personnel central people we don't know.
Okay. Weird words, but okay.
So, we have to push them against the non-people committees, the NPCs. I'm trying to think of a good way for NPC that works with this. Unknown noun.
Could just say people outside our group.
People outside our group, yeah. The people outside the group. Well, I just thought it was funnier to have an NPC, but yeah, the people outside our group versus our group. That way, our
Okay.
group has the best chances to keep moving forward.
Okay.
So, I would also think the best. So we have the minimal chance of us losing out to these people outside the group. The next thing is to make sure that I think everyone on the Lightning God Boy also should be in a separate tier and saved later.
And what if we find ourselves, our group, going against one of the other?
Now, you see, that is the brilliant part. If we don't do this at the beginning and do it near the end, for example, let's say that you and I end up facing Jubei and Cinda in the semifinals, yeah?
Yeah.
So, the best thing for us to do is just throw the fight. That way, Cinda and Jubei move forward at full capacity.
Oh, I get it.
Meanwhile, the big bad nasty asshole with the two swords is going to get beaten and smacked and kicked around, and he has to go into the fight at best half a tank, yeah?
Okay. Well then, just perchance, if this plan doesn't end up going as we hope, and we somehow find ourselves going up against this person, would you be willing to perhaps make a bit of a agreement with me?
Okay, what's the agreement?
She looks around their surrounding area and then leans closer, so that like the room, her glasses kind of slide just a little bit down her nose, so she's looking over the room at him, a very serious look in her eyes, and she's just like, perhaps. I mean, it is a tournament after all, where people are fighting. It wouldn't make sense that an attack could potentially go wrong and be more fatal than what we had hoped.
Victor gets a surprised smile on his face at that. Oh! So you want to do that? As he slides his thumb across his throat.
Oh, absolutely.
Could be tricky. I have a feeling that it would require a lot of, to make it look like an actual accident and not on a purposeful thing. But, giving the amount of, life or death damage you do, it is possible you could end up killing him by mistake. If I hold person him and you do the maximum amount of damage, perhaps it would be enough.
Oh, yes. Or, perhaps some sort of small distraction could happen. Perhaps us throwing out some sort of argument of sorts when we believe that hit is about to be made, so that the person firing tends to misfire just a little bit and ends up hitting something that they did not mean.
Kind of like a firebolt up your bum.
To put it the way that you are putting it, sure.
I don't know, you know how meshy those get?
Victor, focus.
Oh, sorry. That little bitch left behind afterwards, so I tell ya. But in any case...
Whether it is you or me, I'm sure either of us could potentially make an accidental slip of the hand.
Is that just a good idea? But Jubei cannot know about this.
I figured as much.
I know the lad. He has a code of honor. He won't like it. So I agree with you. This man needs to go down.
I very much agree. And it is a shame, of course, that I did not manage to convince Gaston himself to join us, but we will make do with what we can and deal with him after.
Yeah, Victor will kind of rub his chin. To be fair, that would be very dangerous at this point in time. The
She gives
bodyguard. Oh, sorry.
She gives a begrudging sigh at that and pushes her frames back up her face. There's a very out of place coldness to her eyes. She's just like, unfortunately, yes. And before they go back to like their usual warmth, when she looks back at him again, but we can always.
Yeah, we'll have to plan for the future. We have to also make sure that man does not end up emperor at all costs.
Yes, and again, if need be, people always can stumble across accidents that end their lives prematurely.
Yeah, that is true. But at the same time, we have to be very, very careful about this. You know what? I just might have a trick up my sleeve that could get him killed that would lead to nobody. But that will take time.
Are you going to fill me in on?
Oh, yeah, okay. You're not going to like it.
It has something to do with undead, doesn't it?
Quite a lot, yeah.
This is more important. What is it?
Okay, so the thing is, you know about the ghosts, yeah?
Yes.
And you know about bags of holding, yeah?
Yes.
Well, there's a point in my career when I am actually able to control such thing as ghosts.
Small twitch to brow, but doesn't say anything.
Don't worry, but the fact of the matter is that I could control a ghost, have the ghost possess his body, and have him walk off a cliff.
Huh. That could potentially work, yes. But based off of what you're saying, this seems to be something that would happen much further down the line.
Oh, that is true, but at the same time, I don't think this is something we can get rid of anytime soon.
Kind of wrings her hands. I would much prefer that such evil is getting rid of much sooner, but if that is our only option.
Well, I do have another one, but you're going to like it less.
What is it?
Okay, so here's the deal. Soon I will be able to resurrect 8 skeletal warriors at will.
Pinches the bridge of her nose. Continue.
Well, I will learn this, get these 8 skeletal warriors, and then get the reduce spell. I will then take the 8 skeletal warriors and shove them in a bag of holding.
A lot of your plans involve a bag of holding. Continue.
But no, the other one didn't need a bag of holding. This was the one that needed the bag of holding. The other one was just a ghost. But in this case, we take 8 skeletons and shove them in a bag of holding. And then we put the bag of holding in his room. Yeah?
Okay.
Okay, so now we then sneak in my Igor through the window and have him turn the bag of holding inside out, as in while he's sleeping, 8 skeletons pop out of the room and stab the motherfucker to death.
Okay, and this is under the assumption that he is just sort of your average person. Based off of a lot of what Everin has said, he seems to have some sort of capabilities to him that could be true.
Yeah, but you don't notice the best part when I make skeletal warriors.
What's that?
Well, and is this going to sound really meta? Now, run with me here. They get a damage bonus equal to my proficiency modifier. So my skeleton warriors hit harder than the average one.
And going along with this, what is this modifier amount?
Well, let's say that the world works in a way of things, a modicum of things called hit points, okay? Let's say for a fact that this is the way you judge damage of an opponent. For example, I have a hit point of 36 and you have a hit point of 41, yeah?
Yes.
Okay, so the skeleton normally does a damage of anywhere between a 3 to 8 damage per stabby stab, yeah? But
Okay.
with my modifier, that damage then becomes a 5 to an 11 modifier. Times
Okay.
that by 8, you could do a grand total of 88 damage before he even wakes up. More if they score what I would like to call a critical blow.
Okay.
The average person would not survive that in one round. And if he gets up to fight again, well, they get another crack at him.
Okay. And, what would we do with the body? Well, actually, if we pre-plan this beforehand, if I'm able to get alone in the room, I could potentially dismember the body into specific sort of formations so that it could be fit into a typical bag, make sure that the blood is all taken care of, and then find a place to dispose of said bag, and no one would be none the wiser.
You know, Ayla, you have a bag in your room already.
Yes, then use that bag.
Yeah, you know, and then he's in an interdimensional space and nobody will know what happened to him.
That is true.
I also have a third plan.
Oh god.
Now, this one is a little more extreme.
What is it?
Well, you like this one because it has nothing to do with necromancy.
Oh, okay.
So, this one requires 2 bags of holding.
Well, I mean, Davia has a smaller version.
Okay, so do you know what happens when you put one bag of holding into another bag of holding?
No.
Okay, it basically creates an interdimensional vortex that zaps you into another dimension.
Oh. A dangerous one?
It's about a 50-50 chance he could end up in a lake of lava.
See, the only problem with that one is that he might survive.
That is true, but he would have no way of getting back. At least none, and they would also have no way of knowing where he is.
I don't care, he needs to die.
Okay, that is fair. But, you know, to be fair, well, let's call it Plan B then. And then, you know, I mean, Cinder and myself eventually learn a spell that's called Planar Shift, and if he gets to a plane that we know them, we can just plane shift over here and kill him ourselves with nobody around but us.
Okay, I can work with that one.
And all we need to do for that is I take Igor, turn him into a monkey, and have him climb up the thing and put the one bag of holding in the other bag of holding and zap him into the other dimension.
So long as he can be permanently disposed of afterwards.
Yeah. Or we could get lucky and he's permanently disposed of by the realm he goes into.
True. Okay.
Oh, wait, it is literally the astral plane. My mistake. I thought it was a random plane. So he goes to the astral plane.
Is that a bad place?
It is literally where fucking mind flayers and beholders are from, as well as Zenki. How far have you gotten into Critical Role?
I didn't do season 1. I watched season 2 up to episode 75.
Have you gotten to the point where they re-entered the Happy Fun Time Bowl?
I'm just in there.
Okay, I won't spoil then. There are horrible monsters that live in the astral plane.
Okay.
It's not a nice place.
Okay. Yes, that would work then.
Only the best part is that we know where he is, and if he doesn't die, we can go in and get him.
Perfect. So long as it ends with him dying.
I gotta admit, it's always a little nice to hear you talk about that. Killing a guy like that is always more refreshing with you.
Gives a curious blink at that. It's just like, it is.
Yeah, it's kind of refreshing. Usually all about, forgiveness and letting move things forward and everyone deserves a second chance. It's kind of nice to know that you can recognize a true bastard when one is in front of you.
Oh, yes, no, of course. Zeros is very much on the area of justice, and while, of course, I do believe that everyone deserves a second chance of sorts, that it very much depends on what they've done. And she kind of trails off for a moment at that, sort of thinking, and then gets like this confused look on her face. It's just, huh.
Is that a problem?
I'm sort of wondering now if I'm being hypocritical again. But he definitely deserves to die.
He's gonna look her up and down and go, he forced himself upon our friend Everin, put a ring on her that causes her extreme pain any time she disobeys him, and wants to take her away like property.
She gives a bit of a wince. Odd question. How do you determine when you have, say, two completely different forms of bad or evil actions or deeds or whatever else, and determine which is worse?
Okay, give me an example, please.
Uh, uh, it's a little difficult to connect it to a way of personal experience that doesn't exactly go into the specifics.
Okay, could you try to sum it up?
She just has this very uncertain look on her face.
Yeah, come on, we're both frenemies here. There's no shame.
uh, can, say perchance what Gaston has done, as you described, or uh uh she gets this look in her, like a far off look in her eyes as she's thinking back on. Actually, I don't know if I should say. Oh, 1 second. She holds up a hand. I feel a little nauseous.
He just starts tapping his foot.
Uh, Okay, let me try to think of a similar example. You know the phrase dog eat dog world, where a dog might perform sort of cannibalistic tendencies in order to survive.
Hmm.
What if you saw a dog doing that and it wasn't for survival?
Okay, so a cannibal that likes to eat it for the pleasure of the taste of the other animal.
No, not even just for the pleasure, just to do it.
For shits and giggles?
Uh, uh yeah, let's say that.
Okay. I would think that's a pretty weird dog.
And okay, and then say perchance that the dog was doing that and believing that by I don't know, in doing so, it would somehow uh, cause a great deal of harm to a number of other species.
So, by eating this other dog, it somehow kills the protector of the other species, causing the other species to cause great harm?
Yeah, sort of. Yeah, sort of.
So, like a sheepdog eating another sheepdog, and now there's no longer something to guard the sheep, so the wolves eat the sheep?
Sure.
Okay, I'm with you so far.
So, weighing, say, these sort of two evils, how do you determine which is worse? One was done on a singular person, which was a very terrible thing, of course. And then you have another one where it was done on a singular person in order to harm multiple others.
He kind of stops. Okay, so let me get this straight. So, they're comparing the fact of one man hurting a single person, but only hurts that single person, but nobody else, yeah?
In order to hurt and others. Or wait, you mean for the first one?
For the first one, yeah.
Yeah. Yes.
As in the second one is you have a person who hurts a single person, so he can hurt hundreds of other people instead.
Yes.
Okay. That's a sticky wicket. Because you see, the first person probably isn't going to stop hurting the one person. So,
Okay.
so that person would end up hurting hundreds of people as well. He'll just do it one at a time. I mean, the other one, I guess, is more, how would you say, economical?
How so?
Well, by hurting one people, he hurts 100 people instead. He's economical. He saves time and effort by hurting one person to hurt hundreds of people doing so. They're both equal bastards, in my opinion, honestly. One's just more clever about it.
Gives a little wince at that. It's just like you are not wrong, but are you really able to determine well if one is more evil or if one is able to have a second chance or
Ah, now you want to know about the quantifications of evil. Okay. So, what you're asking me then is this person is evil and does horrible death killing things, yeah?
yes.
So, for purpose of an example, let's say Davia.
Okay.
So, we saw that Davia did very horrible things in her past. We all know this. We heard the examples from the others when they went to that weird realm where they saw horrible dreams.
Yes.
So we know Davia did bad things, but Davia is now, for lack of a better word, a good person, yeah?
Yes.
So one could say that even the worst could be true. But the difference there is, I think, is what Jubei told me.
What is that?
Well, Jubei said despite all the bad things Davia hid, despite all the evil she had, he saw that there was a spark of goodness in Davia. It was very deep, but that boy's quite the miner.
Well, then, using that line of example, what's to decide that Davia has that and then this person, and makes a gesture of her hand to make it clear she's talking about Gaston,
Well, you could be right. We don't know him well enough to be certain he doesn't have a good side to him, I suppose. I think the real difference is the eyes, perhaps.
how so?
Well, Jubei said when Davia talked about her past, there was something odd about it. She spoke of the horrible and dark things she said, but I think the difference is she knew they were horrible and dark. She admitted that to him. Well, on the other hand, that pompous ass doesn't even see what he's doing is wrong in any way. He just thinks it's his right.
She gives more of a cringe at that. It's just like, and what's to say that he has just yet to reach that point in time of his life where for him to realize what he's done is.
You know, it's a possibility, I suppose. The world has many surprises. But at the same time, is it right to let him have his time to wait and have him hurt and kill thousands of others? Or to stop the evil before it spreads just to try to give him a second chance?
That does make the wince relax quite a bit into a dawning of realization. I suppose that is true. Sometimes death is what is needed in order to get.
You're preaching to the choir, sister. I'm sure our little new cleric friend would agree with me, and you, that death is sometimes the right answer. It's balance.
I see. There's a very strong look of relief on her face at that. Yes, of course. And she'll look at him again, the earlier determination back in her eyes again. It's just like, then death is what we'll be waiting for.
I believe that would be the proper thing in this one's case. But as I said, we had to be very careful, because if this leads back to Jubei and the castle anyway, I think we'll all be dead before we know it, as well as all those innocent people out there. And he points to the village.
Yes, we gotta make sure to protect all of them.
Indeed. Especially the others. I mean, I've gotten to know those people quite well over the last few weeks.
So I have noticed. Gives him just like a curious little look at that.
What?
How do you do that?
What, gets to know the people?
No, I mean just naturally just get people to want to talk to you.
Well, it helps when you're a bartender. He's got like a little shit grin on his face when he says that.
She gives like a little roll of her eyes and a exasperate but joking sigh. I'm not much of a bartender.
Yeah, I know. It was a joke. It's pretty simple, Ayla. You know why the people out there like me?
Why?
'Cause I like them.
Then why am I struggling?
Well, it could be a bit of stick in the mud, but honestly, I think it's just 'cause, well, you don't really know how to speak to people. You see, I'm sociable. I've known people my whole life. My parents ran an inn when I was a boy, and I always had to speak and be with the customers constantly. I know many languages and have spoken to many people.
Holds her chin thought. Well, back where I was originally from, any sort of interactions with people were usually very unpleasant. Though I understand that that's not what everyone is like.
You've mentioned before,
Maybe,
yeah.
maybe then, maybe that is coming across accidentally from my end.
Well, you do have a tendency to occasionally to put your foot in your mouth, and I don't mean that in the nicest way possible.
Well, I mean, yes, I do sometimes say a little insensitive things when it comes to people's races and such, which I am trying to get better at. But outside of that, I try to be nice.
Well, let's put it like this, Viola. When you meet someone, what is the first thing you say to them?
Hello?
Yes, I was referring to more something about the lines of like starting a conversation versus just hello.
Oh, it is a nice day, isn't it? What's your name? Welcome. Uh, are you hurt any?
Okay, there you go. I mean, there's your first mistake.
What?
Well, okay, there's nothing wrong with, being polite and asking about the weather, but when you instantly jump to, are you okay? Are you dying? Is your life okay? Most people don't like to be asked whether or not if they're okay,
Oh
unless,
no! I mean, I meant that more is what I how I approach things when people arrive in my office for a medical checkup.
Victor rolls his eyes. Ayla, I'm referring to if you met someone on the street for a conversation, not when they're here for some business.
Oh, she thinks for a moment at that. Uh, huh. I don't really think I approach people outside of work stuff.
Well, that's your first problem right there.
But I don't want to bother them with my presence. I don't want to be a nuisance.
Victor was going to roll his eyes again. Yeesh. Okay, Ayla. First thing I'm going to teach you about being more sociable with the people around you, yeah? With the townsfolk. You know that I actually know everyone's name in the town already?
Oh, so do I.
Great! So we both know them. But what do you know about them?
Just small tidbits that I've heard in passing when going around the area.
Exactly, but did you know that, for example, Fred the gnome and his wife Betty are in fact here because they decided that they wanted a better life for their kids. So they came here hearing about this new place and started to build a nice little place to start learning to bake, to open up a bakery shop. Hence the strudel.
Oh,
They are moving forward and planning to have many children, and they are both 115 years old.
oh, that's delightful.
And they have moved forward and are ready to have a great and happy time. And they have decided that we are good. They often like to play cards in the evenings and generally like to sing songs and even have prayers. They are really religious fellows in their own rights.
I see.
And do you know why I know so much about them?
How?
Because I went up and asked them, hey, how is it going, my friend? And they said, well, good, how are you? And then we started to get into a conversation about each other's pasts. And Ayla, that is part of your problem. And no offense, and you know why. I know why you can't talk about your past. But when you can't talk about who you are and your dreams and your ambitions with another person, they are unlikely to do the same for you. You see, that entire town knows out there I am trying to build a bar. They even know about my necromantic weirdness, and most of them are okay with it. They haven't exactly signed up to the cards yet, but I'm holding out hope for that in the future. I haven't really pushed it yet. I wanted to make sure they were right, but we talked about our dreams and our hopes together. Well, that opens up them to talk to each other about it.
But what if you don't have anything to share?
Victor sighs. Ayla, are you telling me you really have no ambition?
I assume you mean outside of the mission that Zeros has given me. No.
You really have nothing you want for yourself?
She shakes her head.
Victor looks at her, and for the first time Ayla's seen, there's actually a genuine kind of sadness to his eyes. I'm sorry to hear that.
She gives kind of like a curious blink at that. Why?
Ayla, I mean, if you don't want anything for yourself, what's the purpose of, being, well, alive?
Well, I just sort of wait until someone tells me what to do.
Ayla, that's, no wonder you hate me using the undead.
Huh?
Ayla, the difference between my undead and someone like you is you have your own mind. You need to make up your own decisions and wants and needs. Those undead, they're just objects to be used, and that's how you are treating yourself. You are more than that.
She gives him kind of this, like, slightly confused look. Well, I understand that there is sort of a way that people go about their lives and think and feel and all of that. So I've been trying to do my research to sort of pick up on it more. I'm still, of course, learning, but I'm not entirely there yet.
Victor starts stroking his beard. You know what? Let me ask you one thing. What makes you happy? And don't say Zeros.
Closes her mouth.
Seriously, what makes you happy that is just for you?
Making sure people are Oh wait, no, for me. Making sure people aren't hurt. No.
I get it. You're very selfish. I get that, but something selfish, something that is yours and yours alone.
I don't have anything.
You must have something. What about the books I lent you? Do you enjoy them?
Oh, you mean the romance book?
Yeah.
Oh yes, they very much help me understand the concept of what love is.
Jesus, but do you enjoy them? Period. Not so for the learning, but for the sake of the experience.
She gives a sort of confuzzled look at that and is just excuse me if this sounds a little strange. I'm a little behind on my research for this particular thing, but what is enjoyment? What does that feel like?
You're kidding. Oh wow. Well, the scientific base of it is endorphin. You know what? You know what? I'm not going to get into the science of it. It's not going to help. Uh, it's what? That's what makes you happy. Okay, let's put it this way. You say you're happy when you are talking about zeros, yeah?
She's like in a position that she's giving him her full attention. It's just like, uh, yes. Though based off of what you're saying, happiness seems to be sort of something centered upon yourself. Just because that is something that you like or
No, no,
desire or something.
no, no. You misunderstand, Ayla. Happiness doesn't have to be necessarily just on yourself, but goals generally are. Hobbies generally are. Individuality generally is based on yourself. For example, I enjoy my strudels, I enjoy my drinks, and I enjoy pleasant conversation with friends and family.
She thinks for a moment. A long moment of silence. She's trying to think.
Is there any sort of food you like to eat?
Uh, I mean, eating is just sort of a necessity, isn't it?
Oh boy. Everybody's gonna, Victor's gonna start scratching his skull. You know what, Anna? Let's look at this from the other angle. What do you hate? And don't say me.
I don't hate you.
Okay. What do you hate, though?
I hate things that are evil. I hate things that are harmful to people. I hate things that
Okay.
make.
Selfish hatreds again, right? Not the ones that are obvious to the world and in economics things. It's like I myself, I hate Brussels sprouts.
Uh, I hate meat because it makes me feel sick.
Okay, that's a start, I suppose. So you
Uh, what should I hate?
oh my, Victor just like starts. Okay, so any sort of literature you don't like?
Well, all forms of literature are informative in some way, so.
Yeah, don't you believe it? There's terrible garbage out there that's not worth the read. But that's besides the point. Okay, let's. You hate the undead, yeah? But again, you do that because of your characteristics and the simple fact that you consider it evil. So it's a little different there.
Not so much that I hate them, more so that I pity.
Okay. So you pity the undead. So let's try something else then, yeah? So you believe yourself to be what's the word? Um so there's no food you like. There's no food you hate apart from meat, but honestly, it's a little difficult to say because you only hate it because it makes you ill. It's like saying I hate being sick. Everybody hates being sick. Okay,
Nods
let's
her
put this.
head.
Okay, Ayla, what did you like before you became Ayla? The one I know now.
I uh she just gives him this very lost and confused look.
Victor sighs. You don't remember. That's right. You said you don't remember much of your previous life, yeah?
I, I lied.
You lied. So you do remember much of your previous life?
She nods her head.
Was there anything you liked when you were younger then?
I just did what I was told.
I think I see the problem, Ayla.
Looks at him curiously.
No pun intended, but even before what you are now, you don't think you've ever truly lived.
She thinks for a moment and then gives a nod of her head. I am experiencing many new things. That is for sure.
Well,
Oh wait, there is, I suppose, one thing can say that I do.
okay, what's that?
Well, when I woke up, the way that I did, as me, as you see now, um, the feel of what is it called? The warmth from the sun on my face.
Well, there you go. That is a somewhat selfish desire. It is something that is you personal, not what society says it should be.
Yes, it was my first time ever feeling the sun, and I didn't think it would be so warm.
Well, there you go. That's a start. And for that matter, and he's going to look around. Let me ask you something, Mila. Did you ever have a pet growing up?
No,
But did you ever have a type of animals that you liked?
I was never around animals.
Hmm. Well,
Uh,
let's try an experiment, shall we?
okay.
I am going to try to create, and you're going to watch Victor goes, screw it, it's going to be a long rush tonight. The day's over. And Victor is going to do something rather silly and weird, but run with me here. As Victor takes her over to like the front outside, goes into the sands, draws a symbol into the sand, and summons a giant steed that looks like a big rabbit made of fluff.
Oh my.
Now, don't worry, he's very friendly and kind. And you know what? Give him one hug.
Glances between Victor and the steed, and tentatively reaches out, just like, please excuse me for a moment. I'm sorry, and gives it a small
Now get right in there, big hug.
hugs a little tighter.
And as you start hugging, it's that very soft, warm feeling that envelops you, like when you're like holding on to a nice woolen fur stuff. It just envelops her.
Oh, it's very soft.
I figured it's the closest thing I could do to replicate that feeling of warmth on the sun you had, yeah?
Nods her head. Has a bit of a smile to her face as she closes her eyes and enjoys the sense.
Weirdest use of summon steed ever, phantom steed ever, making a giant huggable bunny.
She's just like, I gotta say though, just like with the sunlight though, when the day that I woke up, just seeing all these different animals that are around and learning what they are and what they do, it was enjoyable to learn new things.
Yeah, well, that's it. You enjoy learning the new things. I think that is because you are trying to discover life.
Yes, and I can be more useful if I know things.
Okay. 9. This is not about being useful. This is about living. Why is the necromancer trying to teach you how to live?
She steps away from the rabbit to look down at him curiously.
Well, it's the thing with just the way that most people live is just everyone has so many options of things that they can do and just choices and the freedom to go places. I I'm not really used to having this sort of freedom, and it's a little scary, to be honest.
Well, I could admit the big world can be scary, but and as much as this is going to pain me to say this, you have friends here, and friends help the fear dissipate. It's a way to experience the world. You know what, Ayla? The next time the group goes out on a vacation, you need to go with them and enjoy yourself. Why don't you head down to the beach sometime? Soak up some tans. Get to know some people. Maybe kiss a guy or a girl, whatever your preference is.
Gives him a curious look.
These are things that you believe I should do?
Like Three Stooges head slap Curly style. Anna, it's not what I want. I am giving you suggestions to help you try to live. If you don't like them, then you don't have to follow them. But you need to make the decisions, yeah?
Right. I'm sorry.
It's okay, breeze Ayla's out. Look, I have been alive for 2 centuries, Ayla. I've had a dozen kids. You've met my daughter, right?
Yes.
And you saw that she is very open and friendly and she's the type of girl who, takes the bull by the horns, pardon the pun.
Yes, she's a very wonderful person.
Well, that's because she wants to live. You should do the same. Live your life. Just because you are what you are does not mean you do not get to enjoy yourself.
But I shouldn't waste this gift that Zeros has given me.
Oh, first, the fact of the matter is, Ayla, if Zeros gave you a gift, that the phrasing works it out. It is a gift. Gifts are not supposed to have strings attached to them.
She seems very befuddled by the concept. It's just like,
Why would someone do that?
Because it is a gift. It is something they do. And again, I can't clarify this enough. Because they like you and saw something there.
But what is there to like, though? I mean, you said it yourself many times before. I'm hypocritical and I can be prudish, and I've heard before that sometimes I don't really sweep the floors all that well. Sometimes I leave a spot here or there that's still unclean, or I can't really. I'm not very dexterous.
Okay. Enough self-deprecation, okay? You don't have to agree with me on everything. Some of the stuff I say is just to piss you off, okay? I don't even mean it half the time.
You don't
Not always, no.
always.
Well, sometimes you do things that are a little insulting, and you do sometimes get on my nerve. But so does Jupe, so does Davia, so did my wife, so did my kids. Everybody gets on each other's nerves. It's part of being alive. And you know what? You know why I like to get on your nerves?
Why?
Because that's the only goddamn time you seem alive!
She gets a thoughtful look on her face at that.
Huh. Hmm. It's a little strange. You managed to irritate me so much that I oftentimes just sort of forget about all these different things that are constantly going on in my mind and that I'm worrying about. Not to say that the irritation is a good feeling, but it's out of everything, it's probably the most freeing. And she's just petting this rabbit with a sort of distant look at her eyes.
Yeah? Well, I'm glad to hear it. And you know why I think that is the case?
Why is that?
I think it's because, and this is just theory, of course, I think the reason it does is because when you are doing that, when you are angry at me, when you are being snippy with me, you are being you. You are not thinking about what others are thinking. You are not thinking about what your God is thinking. You only care about, at that moment, what you are thinking.
Is that a bad? Isn't that a bad trait to have, though?
No, it is a trait of being alive. Look, if you're always selfish, yes, it can be bad. If you never think of others, it is terrible. But by the same standard, the opposite is almost just as bad.
I see.
Let's put it this way. You say you want to help people, yeah?
Yes.
You want to make their lives better, yeah?
Yes.
You want people to be the best people they can be.
Yes.
How can you know what that is if you don't know what it is for yourself?
She gets like a look on her face like she didn't really think that before, and then eventually kind of settles into more of an understanding look as she's
I'm not like
You're not like what?
people. What's a
Poopycock!
better way to put it? People deserve.
Sorry, you cut out the last minute. People deserve.
people deserving.
People deserving of what?
All of that.
And why don't you deserve any of that?
It is very difficult because as a part does want to share, since you said sharing sort of allows for people to actually get along and reach sort of an area of friends, but at the same time, I don't really want you to genuinely hate me.
I don't hate you, okay?
Yet.
No, you annoy me. You drive me nuts. You give me my bad side. But, and it pains me to say it, Dana, I kinda like you in some ways.
I think I just felt a shiver of disgust. Sorry.
There we go! She's alive again! She's alive! Better than a jolt of lightning, that is!
That does make her laugh a little.
told you, Ada. It is nothing to you. It's a fact. You need to be you. And if the only way you are you is when you are putting me down, then that's a good thing, okay? There's nothing wrong with it. Stick up for yourself. Live you. Be you. The God gave you a life so you could live, not so you could be on your knees and do nothing.
I, I will try. I know that these seems based off of the way that you're saying it. It seems like very simple, easy to understand sort of things that people get what you mean when you say it. But they are concepts that are sort of a little lost to me. I, just understanding the idea of it really. Okay.
She kind of takes her hand off of the steed and turns her attention back to Victor again.
Sharing with other people, you said, is how they get to understand one another.
Yeah?
I will share a little bit, the less bad parts at very least, and maybe you'll be able to get why I'm trying to learn the deeper meaning of the things that you're saying.
Okay, I'm listening.
So, as I read in the book, you know how typically when our memories tend to have sort of a cutoff point of when we're children, right? Whatever memory that might.
This is true. The mind can only hold so much, yeah?
Well, my earliest memory is just black, just darkness everywhere. Stone floors under my legs and feet. If I stretched my arms out, walked a couple steps, I'd feel the stone walls there, and walking the other way, I'd feel it there too. Every day was spent either just laying in bed or praying, or for the few times whenever a caretaker or something would stop by my door to bring me out, it would be to clean the floors. And then once I was done with that, hopefully if I did a good job, I'd be sent back to my room and repeat. And my interactions with people never went farther than that. It was just sleep, pray, clean, sleep, pray, clean. Just always in that dark cubby of a room. And whenever I was allowed out in the hallways, it'd be just as dark. There'd be little torches on the walls for some light so people don't bump into one another, but never any windows, never any chirping birds or buzzing flies or any of that. It was always just dark and cold, and I really only learned how to talk through listening to people, really. And that's how I developed language. So interacting with people outside of being told what to do and understanding this concept of living and wanting for myself, it's honestly a little alien to me.
Victor will nod his head, starting to see a picture and understand. I see. Well, that does explain a lot. So, I am going to make you a deal, yeah?
Okay.
Let us say that I see now that you have had a hard and difficult life. You have never truly lived. Ironically, the most you have lived is after, well, your rebirth. And that is interesting in my own right. But let me say this again. I think Zeros brought you back to life. So you could live. I don't think he wants you to be as worshipful as you say he does. That is not to say he doesn't want you to be a good person, but if this God is the God you say he is, a good God of justice and life, I think what he saw was a sad little girl in a room, forced to never live and experience life, and gave you that life the only way he could.
How am I any different from the others?
I can't say. Perhaps you aren't. Perhaps you are the only one he could save. Or perhaps you are the only one that could be saved. Or, and this is actually going to stop Victor to think and go, well, maybe there is a purpose for you here, yeah?
That is very much what I'm trying to look for.
Well, maybe the purpose. Maybe the purpose is to help those children.
A multitude of complicated looks come to her face at that.
Uh, uh, mm, you know, a part of me is telling me to just lie to you, but by this point, I know for sure that it would be too late.
Okay. So, what is it?
What is what?
It is too late to save those children, yeah? Is that what you are saying?
Yes.
What about the next ones?
Opens her mouth like she's gonna say something and closes her mouth and shakes her head no.
And the ones after that?
Shakes her head no.
And the ones after that?
None of them.
So, you're saying they're all gone now, yeah?
Another complicated expression before she's just like,
Kind of.
Okay. Well, I see this is a touchy subject, so I will not pry for details unless you wish to give them. But, then let me ask you this. Are there more to come?
she looks down at her symbol of Zeros and holds it tightly, a determined furrow to her.
Not if I can help it.
Then there you go. But that doesn't mean you don't live your life to do that. The ones that have passed, you said. Knowing how they ever they passed is up to them. I do not know. You do not give me the details. I will not pry. But maybe the best way to at least honor the memory of the ones that have passed is to live a life they couldn't.
I, I'll be trying. Truly understanding what it is exactly by you mean by living life and everything that comes.
Well, I don't expect you to get all in one day, but as I said, just try to live life. Try to be your own person and not just an extension of Zeros. Not just an extension of what society wants you to be. You have to be who you think you are. And he's going to just reach up and kind of poke her in the chest. In the soul.
The soul.
You have one. I know you do.
Okay. Oh, okay. I will try.
That's a good one. Now. He looks over at the fluffy bunny. Do you want to head inside or did you want to stay out here a little while with your new friend?
Well, there's still a number of chores that have to get done.
He's going to look at her and scowl. Live your life for yourself. You do not need to get to the chores. They will be there in the morning and you have the staff to help. What do you
Okay.
want?
Victor, would you please teach me how to talk to people?
He's almost a little taken aback by that. Kind of shakes his head out, but you know what? I think I would be honored to help you.
She gets again one of those rare, more genuine smiles on her faces that isn't that nervous, like anxious wreck of a look, and it's more just like softening of the features, less stress lines and stuff. It gives more genuine smile at that, and then nods her head eagerly.
All right, let's do that.
Yeah, let's do that. And they will walk off so Victor can give her social interactions 101. And I think that's a good place to call it.
I like